No, I have like a piece of paper, and I just write down like in order what we're going to talk about, and that's it.
I don't know, something similar with his computer, but
Yeah.
not nearly that fancy.
Well, when porn crashes it,
That has happened a few times.
I swear to God, are we recording right now, Adam?
Damn it!
Every time.
Okay, all right, here we go. All right, hello and welcome to the 27th episode of Damage Control Podcasting, a professionally unprofessional look at the conventions, ideas, and genres in filmmaking. I am here with
Daniel Newkirk.
Sean Secrease.
Josh Snyder.
Tyler Tipton.
Cody Dietrich.
And Eeyore with the intro. Thanks, Eeyore.
Thank you. Yeah.
Peter Cullen was much
It
better
might
Eeyore than Adam
rain.
ever was.
Introduce our guest, a professional podcaster.
He kind of
Me?
introduced him.
All right, yeah. So today on the cast, we've got Sean Secrease from...
1/3 of the Trihards team. We do a magic-focused podcast, and we've got, when this comes out, we'll just have had our episode 100. So we're looking forward to that.
That's a hell of a milestone.
Oh, thank you.
Which is why we asked him to come on, because tonight's topic is adapting board games and tabletop games, child games into movies. Not tabletop games or child games. I'm talking like tag.
You're digging it deeper.
I am. Okay. All right. And a little bit of trivia before we get into tonight's topic. What is the oldest known board game?
Senate.
Holy shit! How'd you know that? Is that what they play on Lost?
Yeah, idiot.
Okay. All right. It was created around 3500 BCE in Egypt. It's still played today and apparently on Lost. According to hobbylark.com, what are the top 10 board games of all time?
Monopoly.
Is number 3.
Monopoly, Clue.
Clue is number 8.
Chess.
Sorry.
Chess is number 1.
Sorry.
Checkers.
Sorry is not on there. Sorry.
Wow.
Checkers.
Not on there.
Backgammon.
Not on there.
Ooh.
Chinese checkers.
No.
Well, Corey's not on his
Oh
list.
my god! All right. So number 10. I never heard of this. Ticket to Ride.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
That's great.
fantastic
Okay.
game. In stock at your friendly local game store.
No. Number 9. Dominion.
Okay.
Oh, Dominion's
Yeah,
really fun,
all right.
yeah.
8 is Clue. 7 is Battleship.
Mm-hmm.
6 is Scrabble. 5 Settlers of Catan.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
A Hall of Fame game. Also at your local LGS.
Yes, indeed.
4 is where was that? 4 is Risk. 3 is Monopoly. 2 is Stratego. 1 is Chess.
Forgot all about Stratego. That game
I know.
was
I have
awesome.
that game. Yeah.
You wanna just leave and go play
I'm
right
surprised
now?
Axis and Allies isn't on there.
That game.
No.
Oh,
No, come on.
Stratego at number 2.
Number 2, that surprises me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Holiday. Hollywood pulls inspiration from many areas: books, TVs, comics, music, its own movies, sometimes even board games and child games. April 15, 2018 saw the release of Truth or Dare. As of May 3rd, the flick has brought in $36,350,000 domestically. With a budget of $3 million, it's a success, I guess.
Yeah.
You said you're going to see it. Have you seen it?
No, I have not. I'm a little... I kind of don't want to see it because it's PG-13,
Yeah.
and no good game of Truth or Dare ever ends at a PG-13 rating.
Fair enough. Okay, so
Give
tonight...
that man a medal, because he's not wrong.
So tonight, let's discuss the films. Discuss the films based on board games as well as tabletop games and what it takes to adapt them into a narrative. Okay.
Okay.
Am I doing all right?
I guess.
No.
You exist.
All right.
We
So-
haven't gone to the Marinara Trench yet.
Still
so.
neutral.
Oh, fair enough. I consider that a win. So,
He hasn't
Alright.
gotten up and left yet.
Yeah.
So.
so first off, name as many board game, tabletop, child game adaptations in film as you can.
Clue.
Clue.
All right.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Battleship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder had a movie?
They did a Pathfinder movie.
Really?
That's not based on the game.
Yeah, I think it is.
You talking about with Carl Urban?
What?
Talking about Carl Urban?
Yeah, it's
No,
like-
that's not. No, that's from the director. I'm a big fan of that movie. I listen to the audio commentary.
I don't know. It was like
that's from his own-
Pathfinder, the one word. I imagine that trademark or something.
For a gaming, not for a movie.
Yeah,
Alright, fine.
that's from the director's own brain.
It's a different form of intellectual property, so the
I guess it
trademark
was
isn't
no
going to
magic.
carry
Never
over.
mind. Cody's wrong.
Okay, sorry.
Usually. That's
Yeah,
fine.
we're used to that.
We still love you. Damn it, Cody.
Okay, so I got Clue, Ouija,
Oh, Ouija, yeah.
Battleship, D&D, Would You Rather.
Well, that's
That movie was terrible.
I didn't watch that. I forgot
Oh, that was a
Was it
Netflix
movie?
special. It was awful.
I will agree to disagree.
You liked it?
Yeah, I did. I loved
Man,
it.
you are so
What?
off.
Truth or Dare, Tag, and hide and seek with made-up games Jumanji, Zathura, and Beyond the Gates, which is a Netflix film about a VHS board game.
There's also, if we're talking fictional movies, there was Three Warriors.
Okay.
Three Warriors, I think, about a board game that slowly corrupted the minds of people and turned them insane.
I'd watch that.
It's terrible.
Can't be any worse than Deathbed.
I've always thought the movie Horrible Bosses was an unlicensed adaptation of the board game Life.
Yeah. That's fair.
What I
I'll give
consider
you that.
like a spin-off.
Oh,
So.
yes, absolutely.
I'm in for that.
Honorable mention goes to chess because it's used in a lot of films, typically as a metaphor or a stereotype, as well as dominoes, bridge, and solitaire. Okay. All right. So first question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Mazes and Monsters, another fictional tabletop game.
That was used in movies.
Yeah, it was a fictional version of Dungeons and Dragons. Tom.
Petty.
Nope.
Tom Holland.
Nope. Different Tom.
Tom Cruise.
No.
Tom Riddle.
No. He was in
I
Castaway.
know who that is.
Tom
I know.
He doesn't
Tom
do
Hanks.
that.
There we go. That's him.
Forgot about Tom Hanks.
I
Harry
did.
Potter. That's who Tom.
Yeah, that's all I could think of was Tom, and old Tom, because on a first name basis with Tom Hanks.
Uncle Tom.
Yeah, he was in it
Whoa.
anyway. He played
Whoa.
the cleric who lost his mind when the thief died.
What 80s?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. So as always, first question: do we like them? The good and the bad and the ugly of them. Do we like them?
Most of them are pretty bad. A couple have been okay. I haven't seen any that have been like really good.
Clue.
Clue was.
Yeah,
I
Clue
don't know
was-
about
no,
really
Clue
good.
was great.
Get
Clue.
out.
Yeah,
All right.
All right.
It was great, and they
Yes.
pulled it off so well that they didn't tell you there were different endings in different theaters. That was really the first movie I can remember doing that very well.
I see. I didn't know they did that.
They did that, and when you went to a theatrical release, you didn't get to see every ending.
Right.
It was only when the VHS or Laserdisc or whatever came out that they put them all on there. So that was really well done. And Tim Curry's the man.
Oh
yes.
Absolutely.
When he's running around the building explaining what had happened, it's awesome.
I
Incredible
like
scene.
it in an aspect if it's done in a comedy aspect, like movies like Jumanji and Zathura, where there is a level of like, oh, danger, but it's done in a comedical way.
Okay.
Yeah, Jumanji was
Are we
decent.
going to let him get away with using his own words? Comedical?
That's normal.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if that was
Yeah.
Just wait
standard
till,
operating
just
procedure.
wait till I keep talking.
Buck's supposed
It
to
gets
say
worse.
something.
We're just used to it.
Everybody
Okay.
knows
So
what
it
I've
goes-
been
All right,
saying.
Cody. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's normal Cody.
Okay.
Comedical.
Man, we're rocking this. We're only 7 minutes in. We spend 30 minutes.
Yeah, but movies like the Truth or Dare, like it's meh for me. Like I have not seen the movie; it got spoiled for me. But from what I've seen of it, it's just,
Oh, it sucks when a movie gets spoiled for you, doesn't it?
I guess.
Okay,
Justice.
I haven't seen it, but I bet you $100 on this podcast. They put the very last scene in the movie in the trailer. The scene where the main actress is on top of the dude in the bed, and they're getting ready to do what young people do in bed, and she says yes, and she says truth or dare, and her face does that little.
That is not the last scene.
I bet it is. Have you seen it?
I know for certain that's not the last scene. 'cause
You just
they-
lost $100.
they
Sounds like he
spoiled-
lost $100.
Put your money on the table.
I'll tell you what. I'll wear the dress instead. How's that?
No, you said
No, you
$100.
want
I
to
like
do
money.
that.
You can't do something you want to do.
I'd rather see you in a dress than Daniel.
Okay,
I got two
I'm
people
just
with
saying
one there. That was
it-
pretty
it-
good. I'm proud of
It's kind
me.
of like this for horror like that. They
probably-
like oh you can make anything a horror movie with just a simple aspect, like we're going to turn a children's game into a horror movie. That's it. And they just creepy up the game.
They creepy
like
up
they
the game.
add a demon or something behind the game. That's why it's scary. You have people dying. That's why it's scary.
I want to see people do that with Candyland.
Exactly.
Like make
Easy.
Candyland. Like,
do the David Bowie flick with Candyland.
Labyrinth?
Yeah, thank you.
Labyrinth of Candyland.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Labyrinth is a classic, by the way.
Yeah.
And why can't I think of the director who did what was it? The Night Before.
Tim Burton.
Yeah,
Actually,
Tim Burton. If you
technically-
let Tim Burton do Candyland,
Producer,
you might
director,
get
I know.
something
Oh.
crazy. Johnny Depp's going to have to be in it.
Well, he can-
obviously at that point.
So
Is there a
into that.
character
Yeah.
in Candyland Johnny Depp could be?
Every character.
The
Are there
tall,
characters in the game?
The tall,
Yeah, there's that
Ever
creepy,
played Candyland?
Uh,
that creepy old fairy woman.
Danny Elfman to do like some creepy music.
He's the candy man. He's the candy cane woodsman, the one that cuts down all the candy canes. I remember that creepy, tall woodsman cut down giant candy cane trees.
Did they make a Chutes and Ladders movie?
Oh yeah, do Backdraft with Chutes and Ladders.
I'd make it like a Cannonball Run style thing, but they're like trying to climb a.
Oh yeah.
That'd be really
like
fun.
a Mad
Yeah,
Mad
sort of.
World.
Yeah, you do like a Cannonball Run, or like it's a Mad World, or something like that, where you've got that sort of manic energy going on in it.
Or like a rat race, and like the first one to this hop gets the $10 million, and then each door is either an up or a down.
Yeah, but with funny jokes.
Yeah.
Now, you, sir, you do not talk bad about Rat Race.
That movie
Rat Race was amazing.
Compared to movies like Cannonball Run and other things in that type of genre that are comedic, they're way better than anything Rat Race has ever done.
No, you're wrong. Johnny Depp could easily be King Candy. I mean, look at that guy. That could easily be Johnny Depp.
No, because he'd have to put on weight. The king of putting on weight is Christian Bale.
What about that King Candy?
Yeah, that's a sexy King Candy.
I actually have another way.
Well, that worked
I
as
see
well.
that. Well, when you talk about Johnny Depp doing it, I always see him in his Alice in Wonderland stuff when you talk about that, and he does the transformational stuff so well.
Oh, absolutely.
Charlize Theron, she's great at putting on weight for roles too.
Yeah.
You could have her as like a cross-dressing King Candy. That would be horrifying.
I'm in for that.
Yes,
That sounds
we could do
scary.
that.
Okay, so we have the horror Candyland movie.
Well, if you just want to do horror games, you have like House on Haunted Hill. That could easily be adapted to board game, where you could do a movie based on that. I think if you wanted to do a horror movie.
Yeah, that one would be. I think it would be very difficult to try and do that one though, with like how multiple endings Betrayal of the House on the Hill has. Like you've got at this point over 100 scenarios you can play in that game. Like how do you narrow that down to just one to tell?
You find
and make it more interesting than a random horror movie.
You find the ones that are the most compelling, and then you leave it a little ambiguous at the end, so you're not quite sure. You find a couple that are kind of similar, and you leave it a little ambiguous at the end. So
You
people
do
don't
a
really
thing
know.
like The Cabin in the Woods. It's actually a series of movies. It's the same first scene every single movie, but the one thing they do throws it into a totally different horror situation.
I could get behind that. Or like
I like that better as like a Netflix show.
Oh yeah,
Like
like a
each
1 hour Netflix show.
Yeah, each
Absolutely.
episode is like you've seen Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Like please blow the conch. It'd just be a situation like that, where so they do something, they actually do something different, and that's what causes that.
I think you just
inconvenience.
spoiled the movie for Tyler.
I've seen the movie.
Again?
Oh, okay.
I've seen the movie.
What about doing 1313 Dead End Drive?
I forgot all about that game.
I always wanted that game, but I'd never played it.
It's where you
Buy that on Amazon right now.
It's what is?
Buy it on Amazon right now.
Okay. It's where you move. It's where you play. It's where you roll two different dice, and you actually move your piece and another person's piece, but so no one really knows besides you whose piece it is, and then you have to like lie. You have to lie to the people you're playing against. I forgot my train of thought. Anyway, that's the point.
Isn't that the one where you like, oh, you're the inheritor of this fortune, but you all are the inheritor, so you got to be the last person left with a character alive to get the inheritance, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. My grandma had that game, and she never let me play it.
It was a sequel.
I think that a game that would make a really great movie, maybe, probably it's going to end up being more campy because that's how that thing goes. There was a board game called Omega Virus,
Oh, yeah, you've talked about that a couple times.
which
yeah.
was awesome. Like, it had some voice acting stuff going on. It wasn't great voice acting. I was 10. It was fun. But like the bad guy in the game was actually a virus that took over the space station, and you're trying to get the codes to get out before it explodes, and he takes over the full thing and explodes it. So, but he like mocks you the whole time. So that would be really interesting to kind of like watch them go through the substation and figure that stuff out, and have that voice over the intercom just mocking them and telling them how stupid they are the whole time and stuff. Like, it'd be really kind of fun to watch, I think.
Well, we got the horror movies, but I listened to something on YouTube the other day. I think we can make a historic Monopoly movie.
They've actually tried, not Toby Emmerich, but his brother. Toby Emmerich is the director, but his brother, the producer, he's been trying since 2011. He's been trying to get a Monopoly movie done.
I'd make it a
Ridley
drama.
Scott was attached to direct it at one time, and it's been described as Goonies with adults.
I'd make it a political drama, and the very last phrase would be, "Do not collect. Do not pass go. Do not collect orders."
I was watching a YouTube thing on that. The way to win that is to stay in jail.
No,
That's,
Yeah,
what,
it
they, that's
is.
what they said. They say stay in jail.
not like early on.
Because you
I
once,
didn't
once
know-
you get established.
I didn't even
not
know
early
you
on.
could finish a game of Monopoly.
Oh yeah,
I thought Monopoly usually ended like when the
you
board,
buy and
when the
upgrade
board
all
went
the
across
light blues
room.
and stuff there first. And
I
then
didn't
you
know the
just
game
sit in
ended.
jail after
Yeah,
that.
because you
But-
keep collecting money, even though
Yeah,
it's-
you full upgrade hotels on
Yeah.
like the light blues and everything around that corner and through that edge, and then you just chill.
So hang on, before we get too far in, as I don't know anything of this world, but as tabletop gamers, was Dungeons and Dragons a good game or a good movie?
The first one was not.
Well,
Or
to
a
me,
good
my
adaptation of
question
the game,
is
I guess.
always: can we only consider the movies that were imprinted with Dungeons and Dragons as Dungeons and Dragons movies?
What would you-
Because
okay.
The Mummy with Brendan Fraser is the best D&D movie that's ever been made.
Accurate.
Really?
If
As
you
a-
consider The Mummy, the one with Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, I just had to take a moment to think about that. And you consider what they're doing. You know, he's the fighter that's on the road, and you kind of class them that way.
Yeah.
It's got magic. It's got all those different things. I've always thought that The Mummy was a great quote unquote D&D movie.
That's fair, actually. You know, I
And,
never really
and
thought about
everything
it
but
that
name,
way.
it really is a D&D
Yeah.
Well,
movie.
give me another. Do you have another example? Because I'm interested.
Well, if you look at another movie or more examples from that
No,
movie.
more a different example of a non-Dungeons and Dragons game. Or
Movie. Yeah, we know what you meant.
in that aspect. Mummy's always stood out to me. We'll just put that franchise together and sort of set it aside for
You
what
could
you're
do
talking
Indiana
about.
Jones.
Indiana Jones is
So
the obvious
what?
one.
Okay, so what do you gotta have to be a? Okay, say you want to make a D&D game. You don't own the rights to D&D. How do you like? You're a super fan. You've got pull in Hollywood. You want to make a D&D game. What are some of the aspects you need to pull out to do it?
The epic fantasy high adventure style of movie, such as those two movies and
So you-
other ones like it. That would be like the sort of theme you'd want to build around when you're making a movie based off of Dungeons and Dragons, I think.
So you need a bad guy like a troll or a dragon or something.
No, it's more of like
I think
finding
recognizable characters in certain tropes or roles. You know, Brendan Fraser plays the quote-unquote fighter. You've got a scholar mage type person built in there. You've got the seedy thief and her brother. You know, you've got these different roles that are kind of cast. And if you can pick out iconic ways to showcase that without calling them the cleric, the halfling wizard, whatever, I think that you can give that impression down the line. You have to have certain things, right, Josh? You get,
Yeah.
like both of those, Indiana Jones and the Mummy, they have traps.
There's
they
traps
have
and
bad
mystical
guys who know more than
artifacts
you.
and-
Yeah,
exactly.
You've got all of
Yep.
those, sort of boxes checked, even though they're not D&D.
Moving from one place to another, you don't keep it in one building to a degree. You have mass land travel to a degree. You're going back and forth from place to place. Like in a good D&D, you don't want to just be stuck in a single room for the entire movie.
Okay.
You want to be able to move around different sites, exotic, because it says as adventure, it's also a visual adventure too.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things for Dungeons and Dragons when you're talking about playing the game is adventure. So like it's the exploration and delving into new things and new ideas and coming across this world you know nothing about and learning about it. To me, that's Dungeons and Dragons.
So what about I'm being serious. I'm not trying to be jokey. What about No, I actually like the movie. What about Journey 2 with The Rock? Yeah, would that be considered a non-D&D game?
I haven't
Movie?
seen it.
I haven't seen that one.
I have.
Journey 2.
Why didn't you go with the first one?
Okay,
The
it's
second
Journey to the Center. It's
I
the
like the first
It's a sequel to Journey to the Center of the Earth that has Brendan Fraser, and it's basically just Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Right. So the second one.
So it's just like the Jules Verne novel, or
No, well, the first one is, but the
Okay.
second one, Journey 2, is Brendan Fraser's. He gets stuck. So
Brendan
his
Fraser,
family.
I think in the movie is dead. I think they sort of wrote him off because he didn't
Well,
want to do the second
Don't
movie.
need to watch that movie.
So-
either.
Not in the credits.
so anyway,
Damn it, Cody!
so anyway, his family are like are like adventurers, right? And so The Rock remarries Brendan Fraser's wife, and then the kid has like a chip on his shoulder because The Rock is like very realistic. He's an architect. He's very down to earth. Doesn't really care for all that crap, and he's trying to bond with his son.
No, the Rock is a Navy officer.
No, he ain't.
Yes, he's from the Navy.
He's an engineer.
Yeah, he's a Navy engineer.
All right, well, those two kids
Here
fight.
we go. Anyway, so
It's an important plot point because
you're right. That's why he's an engineer, because he knows all about that water coming up. From the
Right.
ground.
You said he was an
'Cause
architect.
I know what this is like.
What did I
This is
say?
called.
He's
Architect.
the architect.
Yeah. Actually, you called him an architect.
Yeah.
Look, I live in Missouri now. I can't help it. Anyway.
Well, there goes our 3 Missouri listeners.
So they get a mysterious signal from the kid's grandpa,
Right.
which leads them to the lost island or the lost city of Atlantis. So they go there, and The Rock discovers that all that crap that he thought was crap turns out to be real. And there's giant bugs, or there's bugs that are supposed to be small or big. And
Well,
Oh,
okay,
things. I thought you meant like
Okay,
feelings
it's like
and emotions.
reverse. Everything that's big, like elephants and stuff, is like super tiny.
Yeah.
All the insects are like super big.
Yeah.
Instead of dinosaurs, we have giant lizards and giant eels in the water.
there's Nemo's sub. So
Yeah,
would
like-
that be? Am I on the right track? Is that a non?
I haven't seen it, but it sounds like it would be. Yeah.
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 Yeah, if the ending probably wasn't spoiled. But
Okay, I want to come back to this. All right, so what about Battleship? Did we like Battleship?
I did not watch it. I
I-
refused.
I feel like Battleship took the premise of the game and took it too literally. Like, there's some understanding you need to do with the game to, like, these are mechanics of the game, and to make them so specific, like, okay, you are forced into this grid, and then we're going to shoot these shells that land in your ship that look like giant pegs.
I kind of
Like-
liked the way that they incorporated the game mechanics.
What I didn't understand, like the enemies in that movie were aliens, right?
Yeah.
And they came from space.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't they just bomb us from orbit, all of our ships? Movie's absolutely pointless.
Yeah. Most of the movies usually are. if you
Well,
apply
that
logic
in
to it.
particular, in that aspect, like they like, oh, we have the battleship rights. We make a movie, but we make up and instead of fighting another country because we don't want to talk about war right now, we have alien invaders. So we have worse Independence Day.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think they went way too specific with that. Like, I think it would have been much more enjoyable to see that as like a naval war games kind of movie. Like, if you take down Periscope and then cut a lot of the jokes and make it like a legit like war games movie, like that might be a little. I think that would have been a lot more interesting way to do it.
Okay.
You leave down Periscope alone.
I love down Periscope. I'm just saying there shouldn't be 2 of them.
So,
Okay.
what about? Let's see, what other, so you said you didn't like Would You Rather. What about? There's a new movie Tag coming out. Has anyone seen the trailer for Tag?
Is that one that has the Hawkeye actor?
Yes.
Yes. That
And
sounds-
Rocket Raccoons, I think so.
I have seen the trailer for this. But to me, it was almost a co-opt of a kid's game in order to tell you that this is how this group of friends sort of stays young and stays in touch. Where I think it's going to be more about a buddy movie and coming together and emotional relevance. They're just using Tag as the means to get to that end. And I don't know. I've only seen the trailer for it, but there's a lot of different ways they can go with it. But it seems interesting.
Yeah, like it sounds fun. It's like I said, if you keep it as a comedy aspect of the movie, not we'll just make it scary. Like
How would you do a scary version of Red Rover?
Red Rover, come over.
Yeah.
Like if you don't break out,
Do you
just-
do it? You
head
do it
just goes
Candyman
off.
style.
I got the whiteboard, our whiteboard here.
Oh no!
How are we
Whiteboard's coming out
doing?
for this one?
How are we doing a horror Red
It's got to be a
Rover?
whiteboard.
Okay.
Actually, it's the
Because it's Adam.
it's here we go.
You're supposed to break the chain of arms, and if you don't, you become part of the wall, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if you don't break the wall's actually, instead of just holding hands, everybody's just fused together.
No,
Red
don't be.
Rover,
don't,
Red Rover.
You're
don't
just
be
turning it
getting
into
some,
Human Centipede?
I was going to say
Yeah.
it's a centipede style.
No.
I was hoping.
Yeah, he
That's-
said
Yeah,
horror.
I'm kind of into that, like
No.
dystopian,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
almost cube, like you get that magical
because he's gonna start talking about
wall,
Human
and then-
Centipede, and I'm gonna throw up.
Love Human Centipede.
First one.
Those were so
the first
disturbing.
one was unique.
God
Yes,
no.
agreed.
First
That's
one.
a good way to put it.
The first one was unique. Stop at the first one.
Second one, I had to take a shower after I watched it because it was really
Whoa.
disturbing.
And it's
Okay.
bad
Just-
when he has to.
Yeah. There's only
Well, you had to clean off.
The third one
all
was.
right, that's worse.
There's
than the
only
movie.
there's only 3 films I've had to take a shower after because I felt disturbing for watching. One was Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, not because of the movie, but because I was watching it in an old abandoned porn theater. 2 was
What?
Stop what you're saying right now. Explain that and how that happened.
So
It's way more interesting than what we were talking about.
right, so I went to college in Carbondale, and there was this theater, like an actual theater, Playhouse. Right, it had
Was
the
it Pee Wee's Playhouse or?
no, that was
At some
down
point.
So anyway, it was the actual Playhouse or Playhouse. Fuck.
Yeah, I got
It
him.
was an actual play. It was an actual theater to where it was the old style theater where you could just sit down and just get lost. Rather, not the stadium.
In yourself? Oh.
Yes, not the stadium.
If you're
seating,
into that kind of thing,
not the stadium seating crap that they have in theaters now. And it was a slight, the slight.
The slide incline.
Right, where if someone with a big hat sat in front of you, you were screwed. I mean, it was just huge. I loved it. And then, so the play, it went under. It went under in like the 70s or 80s. So a guy bought it and turned it into a porn theater, right? So there was one screen, and then up in the attic, right next to the projection booth, he painted a wall white and just like super glued and nailed a bunch of seats up there. Really, and then he used to play adult films up there as well. So that went on until the mid '90s, early aughts. So that shut down, and then a group of students had picked it back up and had just opened back up, called the Varsity, and they did second run flicks, foreign films. And so House of Thousand Corpses had been a long gestated movie, and I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan, so I was following it. It came into Carbondale for one night. It was airing at midnight. They played it up in the makeshift thing. I mean, it was just like a closet. You could hear the projection booth.
It's like watching a projection movie in somebody's garage.
Exactly, but they were playing another movie, so you could hear. I was right next to the projection booth. You could see that. I don't know if you ever seen House of Thousand Corpses. It was midnight. I had no sleep. The things that I watched creeped me out. Things that I knew went on in the chair I was sitting in, because it was the original porn theater chair. It was just, I had to go home and take a shower. And then the other one was Human Centipede.
Man, when I think about the things that I did in college compared to that.
See, it wasn't that interesting a story. I apologize.
but you said there was 3 movies.
Yeah,
You said you
Old
said
Yeller.
twice.
it's right. So Human Centipede, House of Thousand Corpses,
That's
and
still 2?
and the Devil's Rejects.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Isn't that like the sequel to House of Thousand Corpses? Or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
To make
That
it know,
movie
I'm
is
excited.
weird.
I'm excited.
Like the way it makes you feel.
Man, I saw Willard in that theater by myself, and the big one, man, that was creepy. I also saw About Schmidt and Kathy Bates' butt.
Is that the name of the movie?
No, she's naked in it.
Ah.
I give it
Wait, are you bringing her butt or the hair?
her butt. I
Okay.
give it a Full Moon. The movie company that puts out those Puppet Master movies. I give it a
Okay.
Full Moon rating.
We need
Okay,
to stay on topic, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Tally-ho.
No getting off topic here.
so okay. As game players, do fictional games like Jumanji, Zathura, do those apply the games? I mean, as a gamer, do you guys feel like that decent, or you guys, this is crap?
I mean, most of those movies don't really go into the full details of how the game works, so it's like, meh.
Yeah.
You
But it
never know.
does-
But
it-
like some of the premises are kind of neat for some of the movies.
Like it does. Well, when you do a game movie, you have the rules. You have you have to do this to advance, and if you don't do this, nothing happens. Like in Jumanji, they specifically read out the rules for everything else.
Not
Do
Atlantically.
What?
If you cannot use my jokes, stop taking my jokes.
Okay.
I'm glad you're talking around me. 'Cause
And then Zathura, they read out the rules and stuff like that,
Right.
and all that stuff. But the problems I have with those is they take the games play themselves basically to a degree. The people are just there waiting for the next thing to happen.
Yeah, that's kind of a boring thing about the fictional games, that they don't really do anything interesting. I mean, Jumanji is just roll 2 dice, move a pawn, weird shit happens to you. So, like, I think if you're going to make a fictional game that's going to tie into a movie and make it as interesting as the actual games that we play, you've got to have, well, a structured game. You've got to have something that's enjoyable to play.
And choice.
Yeah, and interaction. Like, there's a lot of things in game design that movie design doesn't take into account. Like interaction between players.
Okay.
You need to have that kind of thing. You need to have meaningful choices on your turn, things to truncate your turn so that that your one turn isn't taking an hour and a half. You need to kind of track the we call it the salt level of the game. And some mechanics will upset players more than certain other mechanics do.
He gets really salty, right?
Yes.
Only when I breathe.
Yeah.
So all the time.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel that? How do you guys feel that your culture, if that's the right word, is represented? Because as a maintenance guy, we are either perverts or idiots. It's true.
Both apply.
But why do we have to be depicted as perverts and idiots?
We're either the nerds or, like in the new Jumanji case, they don't use the actual people playing the game this time. They just, you have a new body, and you're the buff adventurer in this movie, or you're the super hot adventurer chick, or the Jack Black know-it-all. They take away that aspect out of the game completely, where it's not you facing this, you're like in a super impervious body that's facing this.
You're in an avatar's body
Right.
almost at that point. I don't think we're breaking new ground here, but I mean, nerd culture won, right? This is the best time to be alive and be a nerd, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You have the MCU, which you guys spent a month talking about.
Yes.
You have all of these other things that are being accepted. You have one of the most popular shows on Twitch TV is done by Critical Role.
Yes.
It's a D&D show. You know, there are so many outlets right now where it's great to be a sort of game nerd.
Yeah.
And it's become so culture that I'm kind of waiting for the counterculture move backlash. Do you see any of that running a game store?
Very little of the counterculture. Those people kind of stay away. The most I get is I will get people still coming in going, "Oh, hi, this is my son. He's a geek." Ma'am, that's fine.
Wait, do you guys prefer geek or nerds?
I prefer geek, but nerd's fine too. I mean, it all works in the same.
I thought I was a nerd until I started doing this podcast, and you all ripped my card right out.
That's just because you're an idiot.
That's true.
You got to keep that card. Don't worry.
Well, okay,
No,
okay. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, do the thing.
So shows like The Big Bang Theory, who bring.
I have something for that.
Okay, not that Ty. I'm not picking on Ty because he genuinely is a Green Arrow and a Green Lantern. He's always got a superhero shirt on. I know him because he's a genuine fan. But you see, like I go to the gym and I see dudes that there's muscle shirts now imprinted with superhero logos and all. Are you guys kind of upset that? Because my favorite band is Clutch, and I know a lot of people like him, but apparently he doesn't. my favorite band is Clutch.
That was the neutral going to.
Wait, you didn't like Clutch?
Look,
We're not going to get into a music conversation right now.
Okay. So anyway, my favorite band is Clutch, and I know they're big, but I was the only person around me that liked them. So when I started hearing them on the Grizz, or if I hear someone next to me, I'm like, you son of a bitch, that was my band. So do you guys?
That's because you're a hipster.
I was going to say, your hipster card carrying.
Everyone says that.
God, you have no idea how much a hipster he is.
I am not. How am I hipster?
You are a hipster.
I'm just surprised you're not wearing 3 shirts and your flannel overshirt today.
It's really hot outside.
Yes, so no
So you're
flannel.
wearing just the 3 shirts instead.
I'm wearing 2. Anyway, do you really? I am not.
Although you'd be taking your notes on a typewriter, instead of using a laptop.
I write my script on typewriter. Really, y'all think I'm a hipster?
A little bit, yeah. Weren't you just talking about getting him some vinyl the other day?
Oh, shit, sorry.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. First of all, I love popular movies, so that like negates.
No, you don't, because you hate Deadpool.
Yes.
One movie.
It's because
There's a lot of them.
hate
You
joy.
hate
lot of
anything
stuff.
that's a comedy at all, period.
That is
or
not
has
true.
too much comedy.
That is not true. I love Rodney Dangerfield.
That's
You're a
something
fucking
would say.
hipster,
Anyway,
and you will get no respect.
why don't you like Clutch? Just real quick.
No, we're not getting
Oh
into a
my
movie
God.
we're not getting into a music conversation.
This is a movie podcast about the.
All right, back to Adam's topic.
Okay,
I
so,
am curious. You're gonna have to text me or something like that right now. I'm curious.
Well, if you think you're getting my number, you're sorely confused.
No, well, give it. Send a text to him then, and then he'll.
Oh.
I'm just
I don't
messing
have
with
his
you.
number. I should.
Just messing with
He
you.
needs to
Anyway.
be on the podcast more often.
What? Another person to pick on me?
Yes, he fits right in on that.
It's
He's
the
good at it.
triumvirate.
Anyway, so anyway, do you guys hate that it's like because
No, it's wonderful because we want more people playing games.
'Cause, like, the dudes in
we
the
want
big-
to grow the community.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
really.
More.
Yeah.
Bring more. Bring more.
Yeah, as a store owner, absolutely. I don't want anyone to feel ashamed of their hobbies. I want them all to come in.
No, I'm not talking about the people who genuinely like it. I'm talking about the people who just.
I don't like the people that
Yeah, you-
don't have a clue, though.
Yeah, the people who hop on the bandwagon. They're
Right,
wearing.
like, I'm
they're
a
wearing.
huge
That doesn't
Deadpool
bother
fan.
me.
I'm a huge Deadpool fan after seeing the Deadpool movie.
Sure.
Like, and I am like, yeah, I'm for that, but it's just like, oh yeah, Deadpool's funny.
Oh, my only problem with those people is when they speak from a level of expertise.
Hipsters don't wear khaki, by the way.
my
I am
God.
wearing khaki shorts.
Let it go.
It hurt him in his soul, guys. Like,
Medical. These are medical socks. Medical socks.
Get real cozy with me there for a minute. Anyway, so
Haircut's really hipster.
Stop.
it just screams douche, doesn't it?
No.
Yeah.
Just looking at the baseball sleeve length T-shirt with the '80s cartoon villain on the front.
Right.
And,
No,
the,
no,
and the undershirt.
Oh
No,
gosh.
these all you don't know me. All these guys can attest how much I love He-Man.
First of all, sounds like he knows you pretty fucking well.
How much
Just
do I
reading the
love?
clues that you have out there.
How much do I love He-Man?
You probably jerked it to He-Man once or twice.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, the original '80s He-Man.
But the
correct?
sad thing is, you
No,
like
I liked all that.
you like He-Man because his real name's Prince Adam.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very hipster thing. You like something that's named after yourself.
All right. Okay. All
I
right.
know jack shit about hipsters.
So
yet
to
he
answer
believes
to
it.
answer what you were talking about, and what to go with what Daniel was saying, if people come in and they're like, "Oh, I saw the Deadpool movie one time. I know everything about Deadpool." That's annoying.
Right.
Don't be that person.
Yeah,
You will be hated.
because there's a lot of stuff you don't know, and come in to your hobby knowing that you don't know everything, and be willing to learn and accept. Like, I remember sitting in college and someone was talking to one of their friends and who'd never heard of Deadpool and was talking about Deadpool, and basically he was like, oh yeah, he's this really cool guy, he regenerates, and he's always shouting like Street Fighter moves and stuff, like he's a huge Street Fighter fan. No, no, he's not. And all of that experience was coming from he played the Marvel vs. Capcom game that was out, and Deadpool would shout Shoryuken.
because he was against Capcom fighters.
Exactly. So that was someone who doesn't understand.
And it's not so much about the like. It's more of the thing that most people have is don't be a fucking know-it-all. Like,
Yeah, just
yeah.
just going. I don't
No,
know.
no. That wasn't actually directed towards
I was
you.
gonna say I openly admit I
No,
don't know.
that was. We can't talk about that person.
By the way,
Oh, him.
yeah, don't bring him up.
I
By
didn't
the
say
way,
anything.
I drive a Jeep.
Renegade.
Douchebag.
That's not a hipster thing.
A
No,
Jeep
but it makes you a
Renegade?
douchebag.
Why did you buy the Jeep?
Because it's a
Batman v
renegade.
All right then.
Batman
It's a
v
renegade.
Okay.
So on the topic of, sorry, I'm cutting you off because I had stuff to talk about, and then you started defending yourself.
Don't.
To talk about like the representation of our cultures, representation's good. Any form of representation, I think, is a positive movement toward the culture. And Sean's right; it is the best time to be geek. You know, MCU, all these great things, Vox Machina, games are being made in droves. It's okay to wear a comic book T-shirt out rather than getting sneered at and getting compliments, which is awesome. And my one thing is Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
And Big Bang Theory
Twitch.
takes a lot of what it is to be geek culture, and frankly, I find it offensive. Because they take basically 4 stereotypical geeks that everyone thinks of geek when you say the word, and put them in social situations, and then they just reinforce those stereotypes where things should be working to move and break out of those things. Like, if you look at geeks in Hollywood, they don't fit that trope. They don't look like Leonard or Sheldon or
They're
them.
not super neurotic and
Exactly. I mean, the geeks in Hollywood are Vin Diesel and Will Wheaton, which he may be the most stereotypical of them, but he is still
Abrams.
not
J.J.
Abrams.
He's kind of a hipster though.
Yeah, even when you start getting
I don't
outside
like
of Hollywood, there are musical artists that are full-blown geeks.
Not to pop your bubble, but the guys from Clutch are huge geeks.
Sure, them.
Neil
and
Fallon loves
you've
D&D
got
and-
Okay, let it go.
Power Glove, and you've got
Skrillex. And a
yes,
bunch of
Skrillex.
other, yeah.
Even back when I was in middle school, Cisco was a Dungeons and Dragons rapper. Like, your
The
stereotypical
Thong Song guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of his other big songs was Gold Dragon. It was about his D&D character.
Gotcha.
But you've got like this great representation in Hollywood if you stop talking about and stop focusing on the stereotypes.
The only defense, because I don't want this to be a one-sided thing against Big Bang Theory, because I do enjoy the show, is most of those tropes aren't specific because they are geeks. It has to do what they take as their upbringing on most of the times of those things.
And that's fine. I mean,
Like, it's not told because they're a geek, that's why they act like that. That's not exactly what the show does, but they do play on it a lot. I do agree
But
with
the
that.
problem, though, is that, like, I had it happen in here when I was working. You weren't here that day. A lady came in, and it sounded to me like she had asked a question about something that was going on with the D&D table or whatever. So I went to answer her question and be like, oh, well, that's for that. And her immediate response was, well, okay, Sheldon.
I hope you threw her out.
Yes. Not like, hey, you need to get out, but did you need anything else? Okay, cool. Well, thanks. Have a good day. And then I walked away. Like,
Oh, I thought like you like physically like picked her up.
the windows might have been big enough to get her out. She wasn't small.
Oh.
So,
She's
like
not
basically,
listening to
you have
podcasts
people.
anymore.
The vast majority of people who don't interact with people that are like us, we're not. So, for the most part, most of us aren't socially awkward human beings. So, yeah, it's the douche hipster, we know. So, she's a hands up, I don't care. So when there's a misunderstanding socially with a cue or something like that, people who don't know instantly jump into that stereotype, and that show makes it that way because those people aren't smart enough to realize this is an individual, not a stereotype.
I wouldn't say makes it that way, but
Well,
definitely
it doesn't help,
reinforces
is
it.
what I'm
Yeah.
trying- yeah.
That
That was a wrong
And the
choice.
same thing with the
We're not going to give you a high five.
It's my fault. I brought this up, but we need to get back to board games.
Okay, yeah.
There's one more point though that I think has to be made. Is you have to go if you go outside of entertainment and look at geeks and how they're perceived. The fact that quote unquote geeky or nerdy shorthand is now used as a common lexicon as a reference point that people understand. People will ask Elon Musk, do we have an actual Tony Stark now? And people understand what you're talking about. That tells you how ingrained quote-unquote nerd or geek culture has become. The fact that Tony Stark is a shorthand. He is a fantasy character, and he is now a shorthand to convey an understanding of a archetype of personality and achievement and neuroses in a way where you can have that conversation about an actual person. So I think that shows you kind of how far we are along.
Absolutely. I mean, 10 years ago, before the first Iron Man came out, only like the hardcore geeks would understand that Tony Stark and Iron Man are the same person. Mm-hmm. And now you can use that in normal conversation. Everyone gets it. Mm-hmm. It is. It's incredible to see how much the culture is being supported now.
Okay.
Okay, so board games. Board games. It's my fault. I brought it up as always. I usually throw us off topic.
The hipsters do that.
Oh, son of a- All right.
I thought that was more of the douchebag half, but
Well, pet teach pick. Call me.
Aren't they kind of the same?
yeah.
Eh. Nah.
Remember when you were like, "Hey, Tyler, you want to be on a podcast?"
Yeah.
How's that working out for you?
All right. So, is there? So we talked about some of the problems with board game adaptations or child games or tabletop adaptations. Is there probably not? This isn't really a problem, I would assume, in tabletop games. But is there enough narrative or skeletal structure to maintain a movie or do you have to basically add so much that it's only in name?
It depends on what you base it off of. So for something that's a little more basic,
Battleship. That's pretty much.
but that yeah. For something that's a little more
Tic Tac
basic,
Toe, the movie.
right?
Right.
It's just people like getting thrown in by a serial killer trying to. Yeah. I was thinking of Connect 4, not Tic Tac Toe. Same game.
You know, Die
Kind of.
Hard 3 was supposed to be Simon Says.
Huh?
Die Hard 3 was supposed to be Simon Says. That was the name before it became a Die Hard movie. It was just
That
gonna,
actually makes sense.
yeah, it was going to be Simon
With
Says.
that first half of the movie.
Actually, since Die Hard 2, every Die Hard movie was going to be something else.
Simon, Die Hard 3, that's the one where he has to do all the dang little puzzles and stuff with
Samuel L. Jackson.
Don't You Start. I've never seen it.
Yeah, that was actually going to be called.
If you haven't
I've
seen
seen
it by
the
now,
movie.
that's shame on you.
I've seen the movie. I just like messing with you.
So at the end of the French Connection, here's what happens.
I'm listening.
So basically, like, it depends on the source material that you use. Typically, for me personally, I want something, if you're going to make a movie out of a game of some kind, I want to take something that has a deeper, help me out,
Lore?
deeper lore. Thank you.
Damn it.
Gotcha.
Deeper lore to pull from in order to create interesting stories instead of going, well, here's fucking tiddlywinks, let's make a goddamn movie.
That's part
You
of
know
my
what I mean?
homework tonight. I'm gonna name off some board games. We're gonna get the whiteboard out, and we're gonna structure a movie.
Oh, good, because I've got one that I think is great.
Okay, all right. Well, hang on, hold on to it.
There was way too much excitement in your eyes.
No,
like,
I thought about
I was
this.
excited,
when
and then I
Daniel
was
told
scared.
me what the topic was. I'm like, yes, and I've been thinking about this. But I think to go from the lore, you can write some backstory. If you want to take a game that has structure and urgency, I think those are the things you need. A defined sort of track where you're trying to achieve, that builds in conflict, which is drama, and that'll move it forward. So I think if you have a game that has those things, that you could get something out of it, and you could fill in some of the lore and the backstory.
Right. It has to at least have
At the writer's
something
table.
to it instead
Right.
of just a basic, like, bleh type game.
Yeah, you can make very, very simple games with very interesting lore. Like, when we kind of joked about Candyland, but Candyland's got some interesting lore behind it. And when you start talking about simple games with really interesting lore, Abyss comes to mind. And not the James Cameron movie, but the Abyss board game.
That would be great.
What's it
is fantastic. It's about these fish senators
Yes.
in Atlantis, and they are all these different anthropomorphized fish creatures, like crab people and eel people and stuff like that. And basically, you are vying for political control of this council by bribing and basically buying off senators to join your political army. And it's very simple. Basically it's a drafting game and set collecting and matching numbers and colors, and it's a very simple game to play, but the lore is so interesting behind it, and it could make for a really great movie.
Game of Thrones Under the Sea, I'm in.
Basically, yes,
Yeah.
you could do that.
Well, that's what the Aquaman movie's going to be.
Eh.
But DC makes it, so it won't be good.
Yeah,
You know that
DC's
look,
dead.
Sean.
Well, no, the game that I want to make, and it's going to be my avenue to correct the horrible atrocity that was perpetrated upon one of my heroes from my childhood, Speed Racer, with that debacle of a movie that was done. Formula Day, the board game.
Yeah, okay.
One of the great board games, because you can play it. It's one of those games, it's a literal a minute to learn, a lifetime to master. You can play it with a 6-year-old because the rules aren't hard to understand. But as it becomes more nuanced, the game takes on an elevated complexity. But at its heart, it's a racing game. So now you can write the backstory. You can see the game come to life. And we know that society likes racing because you have competition, you have drama, you have conflict. And it takes you right toward the end. I mean, the Cars franchise is based on racing with your feelings, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's a
Well,
mega
explain-
franchise.
Racing with your feelings. Explain that.
Essentially, you've got Lightning McQueen who comes
Oh,
up.
the Cars
and,
fra- I thought you actually
and,
meant-
and
okay,
you know,
sorry.
you got to basically believe in yourself to win.
Right, got you.
So
I thought you were
it's-
talking about. Never mind.
So but you can do a couple different things with that. But one of the great games, Formula Day, I think available at our LGS here.
Absolutely,
I believe.
yes.
Yeah, pick that up and do yourself a favor.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be really interesting. Kind of like a modern Days of Thunder almost.
Yes.
You could definitely do
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Classic.
Yeah.
Put Tom Cruise back in it.
that. I don't know about Tom Cruise.
No.
There's probably some new upcoming
Cruise
actors
needs
that
to
could
retire.
probably use some screen time.
Tom Holland.
too young. Needs
I want him in
a
a
couple more years.
Tom Hardy.
What is your heart on Tom?
Hardy needs. He's got a bunch of other stuff going on right now. Leave him alone.
Okay, so let's talk. So as I always ask, what does it take to adapt? We've answered most of the questions. You guys are big. I'm assuming you guys play clicks a lot. We can't really use those because they're licensed characters. I know Magic is licensed.
We
as
can't
well.
use licensed characters for our fantasy movie that we're not making.
No.
Okay.
So how would we adapt? Has a Magic movie ever been attempted?
They've been talks of one for a while.
They're actually working on one right now.
They are working on it
Yeah,
now?
Rosewater's confirmed. Mark Rosewater, lead designer for
Actually, yeah, I got that
Magic the
right.
Gathering, is they are working on it. They haven't announced anything. They haven't announced any trailers, but it is in the
Any
works right now.
basic plot points? Is it going to be in the world, or is it going to be about the making of, or what?
Rosewater said that it's going to be about the lore of the game. It's not
Lore
going to be.
of the game.
It is not a documentary about the Magic
Is he
card
writing
game.
a piece, a role for Roseanne Barr?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would hope not.
Okay.
So
Like if Roseanne Barr is Liliana Vess, I'm out.
How would I don't know anything about the game. So how would we adapt? What's the structure of the story? Is there a story? in
You're
Magic?
talking about Magic now and adapting it as a movie.
Yes.
Because to me, this is the elephant in the room for the Magic players.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
Because
the
this
thing
has been
about
talked
Magic-
about for years, and it's how do you do it? Because what everybody wants to see is going to depend on what they want from a movie. This is, and you could really get together with this because you now have Hasbro, who owns Dungeons and Dragons,
Correct.
and you could have this sort of Dungeons and Dragons feel again to a movie. But it's Magic, and it's going to be
Magic.
very much the same, I think, when you look at some of the tropes.
Right, and to answer the question that Adam had, yes, there is a huge lore behind the game itself.
Right.
They write a new story to go with each set that comes out.
So we could
you have
easily-
things you can pull from for all of that.
Well,
to
so
make
so
a
if they
movie.
write a new lore with each set,
it's
could-
a continuity. It's
oh,
not
it's
it's not a
it's
set.
a continuing.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say because we could just write our own story and they could release a movie edition set.
Yeah, very much what they're kind of doing right now is kind of copying Marvel's idea of the continuous universe, but they're doing it
They've been doing
in
it for a
card
while,
game
though.
form now.
Yeah.
Where you've got elements that we're getting payoffs just this year for story elements that were 5, 6, 7, and more years ago that they seeded in the storyline.
They actually started this continuity line before the MCU started.
I don't know the numbers, but I will take your word on it.
So Disney literally just called me. I just got a text.
Okay.
And
They
said-
called you or texted you, you liar. Which one?
They called and said, "Hey, answer
Lynch
the
'em.
text." They called and said, "Answer the text."
Nice.
And
You got a text on your bag phone? That was impressive.
see, I'm a hipster, man. I don't use
Nope.
I don't use normal phones. I got a back phone. I got like wind it. I got a military phone, or a sat phone. Is one with the big things. Anyway,
I'm not your brother.
I'm glad that you pantomimed that for the visual.
Triple H saw it.
Okay.
Okay, so they called. We're doing a Magic game. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
We're doing a Magic
Every Friday,
movie.
even.
We're doing a Magic movie.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we do an origin story? Is there even an origin
Yes.
story to do?
No,
You could.
No.
Well, they're not technically, but
But-
you could start with the first.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Because
No.
I would say you guys. I would say Magic has a massive following. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I
But-
think if you're going to do the first Magic movie, you do the formation of the Gatewatch.
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you start with in card terms, you start with Battle for Zendikar, and you build in little bits of the lore to background for the 5 characters of the Gatewatch, and you have the fight with the Eldrazi, you have the Gatewatch, and you do that general story arc. Because that shows the formation of the Gatewatch, as well as you can build in important character elements of the 5 main characters.
So we're doing the team movie first, and then the solo movies.
I'm
And-
sorry, Daniel. It's
yeah.
funny to me that you want to start with the set that Mark Rosewater just came out and said they messed up the most in the last 10 years.
Yeah, because
Oh.
the lore is fantastic.
Well,
the
no, but
set
yeah.
was rough.
Yeah, and we're mixing gameplay and story when we talk about this. But yeah,
The only problem I think doing this though is there is so much lore. It's going to be so hard to do aspects like who are these 5 people? Why are they here?
Yeah,
we
you-
do the basics of those, but there's so much.
See,
Why are they fighting these guys?
can't-
What I would start with is You pick one character to be your lead character to bring the group in.
Jace.
You pick one. It may or may not be Jace. It'll probably be Jace.
It'd probably be Jace.
You show him get planeswalking for the first time, and then you cut way ahead to him meeting people, and then just going, "Hey, there's a problem here. Let's do this." And you kind of like work your way towards the team forming, and then you see the big bad at the end, and that's what you know you're working towards as the teaser for what's coming next. Type of thing.
Right, I mean, you had to put elements like that in. I'm not saying just start it off with where Battle for Zendikar starts at, but yeah, you start there, and then later on, then you do the Jace solo movie, the Nissa solo movie. Please, for the love of God, and a Johnny solo movie, and...
No,
Can we just not do Nissa at all?
No, sadly.
We can do Garrick instead.
Are there any game mechanics you can work into the I know it's not a board game, but World of Warcraft, I believe, worked in the top-down look into the movie. Battleship had the actual calling out the longitude latitude. Clue had the ending game mechanic. Well, I mean, I guess that was.
I think your best thing you could do to represent like a game mechanic would be like at the start of a fight, watching like spend extra time channeling up.
Yeah.
To simulate mana abilities and
generate,
stuff like that. Mana.
So they start small with the fights and they work their ways up towards the stronger stuff as they. I guess.
So
I think that'd be the best way to do it. I don't know how else.
I don't even know if it's necessary, to be honest. You're just telling the lore. You don't have to work the actual game mechanics.
No, that was just kind of
but if you were,
that was just like a
that would
cheeky
be,
little thing we were doing.
Yeah.
Plus,
I would
in the
prefer not
text,
to see
Disney
it.
said I had to do it, so my hands are tied.
Or instead of doing that, you just represent the summoning and show them summoning creatures
into battle.
To fight.
Oh,
for
we've
them.
got the beautiful ability to do AI now. So, yeah, it would look fantastic.
Yeah.
If you did it right.
Yeah, if you use the AI stuff they use for Lord of the Rings with the CG stuff from World of Warcraft, that was the best CG I've seen in a long time.
That's like the big reveal for Liliana, like, oh no, I'm not going to join. Oh, Liliana's here, I'm here, and then just the undead army she raises to help fight the big bad. It's just like stuff like that. That's your mid-fight. Oh God, we're losing. Then she shows up.
Is this what LARPing is? Is LARPing like live action magic play?
No.
LARP stands for live action roleplay.
No, I know that, but
Okay.
is it because that's I mean, is it just doing what the cards are doing? Is that what LARPing is?
LARPing is
LARPing is
more
Dungeons
Dungeons
and
and
Dragons.
Dragons based.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we got that done. Who do we want to direct it?
Who did the World of Warcraft movie?
David Bowie's son, Zowie Bowie.
Is that serious? His name, or are you pulling?
Well, his real name's Duncan. His real name's Zowie Bowie, but he goes by Duncan Jones.
Right. So I like the direction they did with. Sorry, it's just I believe you. It's just that's ridiculous.
David Bowie's son, remember? So,
Yeah.
The dude from Mallrats named his kid Pilot Navigator.
Pilot Inspector.
Oh, that's
Lee.
better. That's better.
Marley named his kid Ziggy.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but you can do that when you're
I mean,
rich.
Robin Williams' daughter's Zelda, so whatever.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, what about this? What
There's
about
nothing
this?
wrong with that at all.
I'm into. I don't know anything about this, but I'm into. What if we get Tarsem Singh to direct it? He did The Cell. He did Immortals.
No.
No.
Yeah, it'll be too artsy.
I thought that's what. Isn't that what magic is?
It is artsy, but it is combat. It's interaction. It's strategizing. It's not just
Yeah,
look
but
this
are
pretty
we
thing
talking
I'm
about?
doing.
But are we talking about the game, or are we talking about the lore? We have to separate the two. Which thing are we doing?
If we do a magic movie and it's not an action-packed romp of fantasy from minute 1 to minute 60, minute 120, it's a fail.
Yes.
Yeah, to me, and that I like those movies, but none of those scream like the feel or attitude you want for a magic movie. Magic should feel like Infinity War feels. Magic should feel like World of Warcraft felt. It should feel big and grandiose and epic.
You don't think Tarsem Singh can do that? Who's the big epic guy?
And maybe he has the ability to do so, but
Duncan Jones wouldn't do that though. He wouldn't go from, because I believe domestically World of Warcraft was a fail, but
Yeah.
but it was huge in Japan.
Yeah, it's a shame that it failed because the movie was actually really good, and followed the lore fairly well too.
So who's a good epic director?
Peter Jackson.
Okay.
Peter Jackson could
Would he
probably
do it though after two attempts at this world?
Maybe.
World?
The Russos could do it.
They're tied up in Disney for probably the next 5
Forever.
But Disney just
It's-
texted you. And
yeah,
told you to
yeah.
do
If it's
it.
a Disney movie, then we've got Disney resources.
Good point.
Back yourself into a corner there. Didn't
No,
you,
let's get the
douchebag?
dude that directed Mary Poppins.
Wachowski brothers could probably do it.
No.
Well, first of all,
not
they're
brothers.
Wachowski's
Out.
sisters.
Then they're not brothers.
They're sisters.
Oh, okay. My bad. With
They
Wachowski
ruined Speed
sisters.
Racer. They're still in the doghouse.
He's a little.
Still salty about that.
But
Fair.
getting off
and
topic.
also, they haven't made a good movie since the first Matrix.
No. No. But you can get that feel.
They
Like,
produce
the
really good
Matrix
movies.
2 and 3, whether they were good or not, had that big and epic feel through the entire movie, both ways.
Was it not getting off topic? What didn't you like about Speed Racer? Just too much to look at. It was like overwhelming.
Well, and it was too fast and loose. It was more of a this is where the current visual effects technology is showcased than it was about the Speed Racer universe, character development, any of those things. I mean, John Goodman was in it, so maybe we have to cast him in the Magic movie too. If Roseanne Barr is going
I'll
to be.
put him in as Karn.
John Goodman is Karn.
I'm in.
Follow up.
It's him or Ving Rhames. That's the only options we have.
I kind of like John Goodman as Karn, to be honest.
Spray paint him silver. You're
If
good
we
to
don't,
go.
and if we don't get Idris Elba as Teferi, I quit.
He might cost too much.
Follow up.
They already put him on the thing. Look.
To follow up to Speed Racer. Why don't you like Clutch?
Stop.
No.
First of all,
Shit.
Speed knew how to use the clutch.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we got the Magic game, Magic movie. I know we talked about non-Dungeons and Dragons, game. The movie with Marlon Wayans, and I don't remember who the other guy.
That one was pretty bad.
Was it bad as a game?
Yeah.
The first one was bad. The sequel was way better, and I
Okay.
don't say that often.
I don't think I saw
So how'd
that
they
one.
do it?
Yeah.
What's
What did they pull from the what did they do better pulling from the actual mechanics of the game?
So the first one, Dungeons and Dragons, was fantasy man-on-man combat. There was very little actual magic. There was no fantasy creatures. There was no magic items other than the one MacGuffin staff that they wanted for the guy.
Okay.
It was just dudes hitting each other with swords through the entire thing, and the labyrinth didn't even have a damn minotaur in it.
It was all bullshit.
Yeah, it was terrible. They tried to make Dungeons & Dragons a generic fantasy movie, and they didn't get any of the elements right.
Okay.
In the second one, they actually grabbed the element of exploration. You had, granted, poorly CGI movie because it was the sequel and went straight to DVD.
Yes.
But it was poorly CGI, but they still fought monsters. You had other people besides humans in there. You had elves, you had dwarves. The halfling thief was fantastic. And they had magic items. They had gadgets and gears. And one of my favorite lines in movies, not just these movies, but one of my favorite lines in all movies, the halfling thief walks up to its illusion, or this, I think it's a trap he's trying to work on, and everyone's like, "Oh, can you do this? Can you do this?" And he looks through a crystal, which is a gemacine, and can see the solution to the problem, and he fixes it. And everyone's like, "Oh, how did you do it?" It's like, "Oh, a halfling trick," and not bother explaining. He's got this little bauble that let him do it, and it's such a great. The Dungeons & Dragons: Wrath of Dragons was fantastic as a Dungeons & Dragons movie when you compare it to the other one.
And Daniel, I think when you get into D&D movies, if you're going to write one from whole cloth, then it's so overwhelming. It's such a big universe and imagination to get your arms around. There's been so much good fiction already written with that in mind. I think you'd be better off taking up one of the book series.
You can go that
make it.
route.
Can we just make Dragonlance?
I was getting that spot.
Yeah.
That's where you start. Margaret Weiss and
Absolutely.
Tracy Hickman knocked this out of the park in the 80s with Dragonlance.
Yeah.
It gives you 3 books.
Well, now I'm sad because if I don't get a movie about Raceland, I'm flipping my shit.
And he's a great character, somebody who really takes that journey from sort of misunderstood and almost Jace-like, and then moves off in a more interesting direction. And it'll feel different than Lord of the Rings, even though the books are set up in a similar trilogy installment. So that doesn't mean something's an adaptation just because they did 3 books.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can definitely do
You've
that.
got Brothers War, and you've got all
The
of
whole
those
brothers
things.
thing would be fun.
Yeah.
That's another good Magic movie too. The Brothers War. That would be
Yeah.
great. Urza and Mishra. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I would watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Dragonlance. I would love to see that. I would love to see the series
Yes.
made into movies. But Dungeons & Dragons, the concept's so flexible. You could do anything with it. Like, there was a fantastic comedy called Dorkness Rising, which is all about a D&D group playing Dungeons & Dragons, and it is the best Dungeons & Dragons movie ever. And it is just so flexible. They grab the feeling, and you could do anything with Dungeons & Dragons as long as you make it Dungeons & Dragons. And the first Dungeons & Dragons movie didn't.
So in the second one, is it? I mean, I know jack shit about Dungeons and Dragons. That's a Dungeons and Dragons table.
Yes.
No. Okay. So the only thing I know, you got one person that's in charge of creating the story, correct?
God.
Yep.
So
Dungeon Master.
when
basically a god.
they did the movie, did they incorporate any of that, or was it just like, here's your fantasy world?
The first one was very generic fantasy. The second one still didn't really grab any of the that kind of play elements, but they at least did this. They still respected the feeling and some of the mechanics with like the gadgets, and the classes did things that you would expect classes to do. The thief disarmed traps, the wizard cast spells, the cleric healed people, that kind of thing. The one missed opportunity I feel like in every D&D movie ever is, big climax, bad guy defeated, and then in every movie they go cut to credits. And what they should do is cut to a
Pan out
table
to a table. People playing their
of
game.
people playing D&D,
It'd be like,
and
that
the
was
DM
so amazing.
Yeah, the DM closes it out with you've defeated the wizard and saved the universe, blah 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 blah. Now roll credits.
So you end
That
it
is how
like
you
the
end it.
episode of Newhart or whatever when he wakes up from the dream from being in the other show. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My
So
thought,
that style of thing, but it's just the DM going, good session, guys. I'll see you next week or whatever.
Absolutely, that's how you end a D&D movie.
And you could even tie it into the next one. Join us when they level up, and you have the next sort of movie.
Or yeah, D&D 2,
Absolutely.
like time to level up is
Yeah.
the thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You let the lieutenant get away and he's amassed the big bad's army. You need to finish the job.
now could you do it like this, where you start off like with your table as your main setting, and then like you transition, like the dungeon master's talking, and then like the
You
scene,
do it like a zoom into the table where
where
the
like the
figurines
scene,
are set up or
where like the
whatever.
scene
That's
changes,
exactly what I thought, too.
where like it turns into that world, and then they get to a point where I don't know, like like I said, I don't jack shit about Dungeons and Dragons. Like, don't you have to like, you come to a problem, like you have to roll a set number?
Sometimes
Yeah.
you'll roll dice for things.
Like, could you like transition back and forth, or
I
would
think- I
that
think
not
you-
make a good?
You could.
I think
Yeah,
if you're going
that's-
to do that, what I'd like to see is the in-game characters are animated, and then when you pull back into the real world, you have the physical humans there.
Yeah, that way it's more a separation
Yes.
between real and
for,
yeah.
so for the casual viewer, it's an easy visual clue that you're moving between the fantasy game on display in motion and those who are the puppet masters sitting at the table.
Because I figured
Right.
that
yeah, I
way.
think that would be fantastic, and that's actually kind of one of the elements that Dorkness Rising does. Is you transition from in table to in game, back to table, and back and forth.
My thought was, you've got this guy in the animated world, and he's got to fix this problem, so you know that the stakes are high for him. And then if you cut back to his real world counterpart, and if they could show some way that the stakes are just as high, they're in the same place, but they're not physically facing the same things. I guess
Yeah, that would be an interesting. To show kind of like a parallel between the two.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting way to do that. I think that would require a lot of really intelligent writing to do that. But if you got a good enough writer on board, I could definitely see that working.
Not you.
No, I'm just a moderator. Okay. So I got another text from Disney. They want to create a Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley universe. Okay, so I got a list of games Rapid.
PBMBCU.
Well, no, Parker Brother Universe, Milton Bradley Universe.
Okay, we're not combining the two.
No. So I got my whiteboard. Okay.
We need to really invest in that.
Rapid fire. Here we go. This is straight from the text. Scrabble.
One man's struggle with dyslexia.
No, I thought.
Next.
Next. Okay.
Next.
That's just not like
You said rapid fire. Let's go.
No,
The last
I got
reason
it.
to
I
buy
got
a
it.
physical dictionary.
It's a bomb disarming movie, and the combination is a jumble of words, and then the combination is in your pile, but you got to get the right word out of your pile to disarm the bombs.
Could be code breaking.
Right.
Or hacking.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of what was it? The Batman story arc with Holiday, with the Holiday Killer in it.
Yeah.
Where he left
Long Halloween.
Where he left the hangman notes, but instead used Scrabble. No, I mean take out Batman, make it like a hard-boiled detective.
I suppose you could do that too. Yeah.
I like that.
Be a route to go.
I like Daniel's first one.
Yeah. All right, Monopoly.
Rapid fire.
Monopoly.
Political drama.
Political drama.
Yeah.
Oh, we did that one.
Set in
That's
the
right.
20s.
Historical documentary.
Of Monopoly?
Yes.
So
I'll get to it later.
Set in like the
20s.
20s?
No,
The teens.
set
Then you
during the
win,
World War era.
and then you find out it's right before the market crashes, and like you're just depressed.
Yep.
Does someone have a monocle
Yeah.
in the movie?
You have to have someone
Yeah.
with a monocle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's just Mr. Peanut.
Okay. Settlers of Catan.
That could be political style Game of Thrones mode. Go. I'm in. Done.
Netflix series?
Netflix
That could be
series.
interesting.
You could do it Netflix style. I mean, the big thing is the setting, and you got to make the
What's the setting? Is it not based on Earth?
1770s
I
somewhere
think
in
so.
there.
1770s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it could be basically a version of
We're shooting in
Population of
Iceland. Would
America.
Iceland work?
Iceland would probably work. Yeah.
Just long, slow, single camera pullouts of somebody trading bricks for something else in order to get something done.
Yeah, the movie of sheep for bricks.
Operation.
Medical drama.
Yeah, that's real easy.
Yeah.
That one you do it with. So the whole thing's set in one operating room. There's no changes at all.
I'm
But
with
somebody
you.
put a bomb in somebody.
Yes,
and you
I was
have to get
thinking
it
of
out.
Speed in a dude.
Speed in a dude.
That's
yes.
what I was thinking.
Wow.
Boy, that is not where I thought that statement was going.
And that's also any night that starts with a Y for Adam. Just speed in that dude.
Any night that starts with a Y.
Exactly. I gave you a.
Oy.
If Hugh Laurie's not in that movie, I would be very
Oh,
disappointed.
please.
He should
Yeah.
be at the very end where he's just like, fucking idiots.
But calls it at the very end. Time of death 3:30.
Limps in, just.
What about Cootie?
What's Cootie?
Is that the one with the caterpillar
Oh
thing?
yeah, the caterpillar things you build and stuff. Well, I didn't even know it was a game. I just thought it was like building blocks.
Kaiju movie. Done.
It's
Next.
Not, yeah, that was like Starship
the,
Troopers.
the cutest kaiju ever.
Yes.
Oh, we're going like Teen Titans Go type.
Yes.
So it's animated.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If he says ants in the
I want
pants,
it
I'm
animated.
so calling rom-com with an STD.
Okay. Ants in the pants. Do it.
Rom-com with an STD.
Okay.
That was easy.
Mousetrap. You ready for Mousetrap?
Rom-com with an STD.
actually,
Mousetrap.
Mousetrap was
I
my
don't
next
know if
one.
you're gonna
Mousetrap's
that
next.
much.
Spy drama.
It's a Saw sequel. Next.
Really, I was thinking more like
It's Saw. It's Saw.
I was thinking
Like,
of an animated flick like the mouse that cooked.
Ratatouille.
Yeah, yeah. But they were trying to kill him.
They did that.
They were
did-
trying to kill him in
They
part
did
of
that
it.
in
I've
Mouse
never
House.
seen it.
Oh, it's great. You need to watch it.
Okay, all right.
It's a Saw movie. Like,
Rat Trap?
yeah.
Oh,
Mousetrap.
Yeah. Mousetrap. Oh yeah, that's a Saw movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's the only way that can be done.
Does anyone?
Not really, but it's the best way to do it.
Okay, we're the hour 13 mark. So, does anyone got any board games they want to talk about? Any movies they want to? Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Okay,
geez.
so
Okay.
get on board for this. If there's one board game that I think is ready right now in its structure, and it also gives you some pre-made characters, and it will allow you to fix the one deficiency of an otherwise great board game,
Oh,
Talisman makes into a great movie,
Oh,
almost
okay.
right out of the box.
Wait, what did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was expecting for something real deep.
You said
I
you
expect-
said you said all aboard, right? Choo choo! I'm fucking in. That sounds fantastic.
I
You
don't know
could
any
get
of that.
Talisman almost right out of the box. You have the troll, you have the fighter, you have these characters that have little abilities as you start the game, and then it's a race to grab the crown in the center of the board. The board forces you to progress in order to move on, and it becomes more difficult as you reach the
It's
center.
like a mad world with mystical creatures.
Only it's kind of set in that fantasy trope realm,
Okay.
like a D&D. But it fixes the one problem with the game where you go through all of this strategizing and picking up this equipment and dropping it and getting that. And then to win the game, you get to the center and you roll a die and see if it comes up odd or even. Like that's not exactly how it ends.
It's basically it's build up. There's all this tension.
Yeah.
You get there and it's like, fuck it.
I rolled 3 dice. I won.
Right.
It's the only thing in my mind that keeps it from being a Hall of Fame board game, and it might be. I might be in trouble for saying that.
Right.
But it came so close to being great, and just right at the end there was like that one thing missing in my mind. So
And is that the one too? When you get to a certain point, the board flips open.
yes,
And if somebody's on the
You
other
can do
side,
that.
they get something.
Oh
happens
no, that's
to them
Key
or
to the
whatever.
Kingdom.
Key to the Kingdom.
That's
does
the
that.
game I was
Yeah,
thinking.
that's
They've
where you
also
jump to the
come out
portal.
with add-on packs for Talisman, like the dungeon, where it actually
Yeah.
builds the board out further, and then you have layers in the board, and it almost looks like sort of Dante's Nine Hells progression, and you could work that in where you have this sort of layering effect too. So I think Talisman, right out of the box, makes a great premise. You have the drive toward the crown. You have the competition and the characters. You have characters with different ethnicities, genders, skill sets, sort of all ready to go right out of the box, and you understand kind of what they're after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% into that. That sounds fantastic. I'd watch that
Yeah.
movie all day.
You've got your archetypes filled up, you've got your drama building, and then you've got your middle finger to the audience at the end when they just see the dice roll, and then the movie just ends. And
That's
gets
the
credits,
cutaway.
and you don't know if they won or not. I'm in.
Anyone else? Yes.
Historical Monopoly movie. I read something.
You're just like with a dog with a bone, man.
Oh, it is so interesting though, and I want to see a movie about this because it surprised the hell out of me. During World War II, apparently the army would send donations to concentration camps for prisoners of war,
Okay.
and they'd send copies of Monopoly. Well, some of them regular copies of Monopoly, and others were actually hidden in the boards. Were actually maps of maps out of enemy territory to escape, plans. If you can go here, you might be safe, and stuff like that. But they just mix that in there.
If you go to the boardwalk, you'll be safe.
Just making light of what I was just, a historical documentary using something simple like a child's game to help somebody out of a situation.
So that's how your Monopoly movie's going to be?
No, this is what really.
I know,
this-
but are you just saying that for a cool factor, or is that how you want your Monopoly?
That's
movie?
what I want my Monopoly movie. It's going to be historical, and it's going to be, and you have little snippets like I'm going to try and get back to the boardwalk or something like. You have your little nods to the game worked in there.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
So it's not so much a game movie as it is a movie that has some stuff about the game in it
Well,
as part of the.
Yeah, that's
You
kinda
combine
like
the two
Tag
more
we
on
talked
deeper
about.
level.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's based on a true story.
Just making sure I understand
because
it is.
it is. But then you do your classic Hollywood stuff and add on to that.
Okay. What's the tabletop game with the mech suits? I love mech suits. Well, I hate Avatar, but I love mech suits.
Battle Boxers.
Is that like the Warhammer 4000 game or whatever?
Yeah, like you got to be way more specific than that.
Oh, is there a lot of them? I don't know. I
Yeah,
said
yeah,
mech
like
suits.
like the ones we play on these tables over there.
Yeah.
I pointed to some place in the, like Warhammer 40K.
Yeah.
Like that could be like they've done a few animated movies on that, and they've been pretty decent. Warhammer 40K has got tons of lore to pull from.
Does anyone watch the old cartoon?
I want a Blood Bowl movie.
Yeah.
What's
I'd watch Blood Bowl.
Oh, Blood Bowl.
Me and Tyler could play
Yeah,
I
I got-
don't know.
I got
So
nothing.
Blood Bowl is literal fantasy football. It is fantasy creatures like elves and orcs and dwarves playing football.
Okay.
And it plays more like rugby, but it's like, the orc will hit a human and then kill him in the block, and everyone's just like, oh, well, time for a new player.
Well, that could be like a cool, like Netflix short or something.
You
Well,
like that Bright movie? Is that
well,
what it's called?
Yeah, like was that a hipster thing? I
Oh,
like
the
that.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, see, only a hipster would just think everything's a hipster thing.
It's not all about you.
Yeah, Bright was pretty good. I really like Bright. That was the closest thing we'll ever get to a Shadowrun movie.
Is that a D&D non D&D movie?
Closer to Shadowrun, but yeah.
What about What about Rain of Fire? Would that be? I like Rain of Fire.
I don't know what that is.
Reign of Fire was fine. That was Matthew McConaughey as the leader of the Irregulars. They go over. Christian Bale has the group that's still somewhere in England, and they have to get into London and kill the boss dragon, essentially.
So is that a non-D&D movie?
Yeah, I would classify that as it had some of those elements in it.
Okay.
Maybe one of Matthew McConaughey's better performances, actually.
Looks great, bald.
He's
beard.
yoked in that
Oh
movie.
my god, yeah, he was.
He
Yeah.
has like 1% body fat.
He was pre-Triple H before Triple H with the bald head and long beard.
Yeah, he looked solid.
I had to get a wrestling reference in there.
Oh,
somewhere.
yeah.
It's not a podcast with Adam without it.
That's our fault.
Yeah, that is your fault.
Well, he was
We
like,
created
what
a
is
monster with
wrestling? And then
WrestleMania.
he saw WrestleMania with Daniel, myself, and
These two.
Spider and Kyle.
Yeah, we're just
And he's
jazz hands.
We're the better part of this cast,
Exactly.
anyway.
You,
fine.
you were invited, but you didn't show up.
for
No.
that's half of my life is not showing up.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, it just and then
Like-
ever since then, that's all he's about is just like, or did you see that match? You just see that match, and it's like, I'm glad he's excited for it. Don't get me wrong. It's just like really one
I used
show
to
and
watch
you're hooked.
wrestling. I used to watch wrestling back
Yeah,
in the
but
era.
you said like
What a
back in the
hipster
day, but
thing
now
to
you're
say.
just bam.
God. Okay,
Well, you show up in your Stone Cold T-shirt.
I was never a Stone Cold fan. I was like a Gold Dust fan.
So now he's in the.
You're
hipster
oh
thing.
my! You was.
What?
It's okay.
And-
Breathe.
What?
I'm twitching and I'm gonna have an aneurysm. That was the most hipster thing you've said all fucking.
Why? Can I like Gold Dust?
Yes.
Did you see in the Royal Rumble where his condom
see?
suit like exploded?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
He wants to say keep
All right.
on talking, and then bam.
All right, okay, all right.
Tally ho!
All right, here we go. So let's move on to tonight's post podcast trivia. Since its creation, how many Monopoly sets have been sold?
69
Billion.
billion.
250 million.
All right.
How many possible moves in chess? Chess.
Chest.
How many possible moves are
I
there
used to
in
know
chess?
this. Yeah.
It's in the millions, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 It's a lot.
It's
Yeah, it's in the trillions. It's in the quintillions. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know anything past the quintillion.
Chess is infinite. There are 400 different positions after each player makes one move. There are 72,084 positions after two moves, 9+ million positions after three moves pieces, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
To an exceedingly large amount that is unquantifiable.
Yep. Okay. I don't know.
What?
What?
Say
no.
it.
I was thinking. Okay, he's talking total positions throughout a game. Like in any one game state,
Okay.
there's only so many moves that can be made on the board. Right.
My next trivia question.
Now you know how trivia questions work around here. They're
Yeah.
not quite what you're looking for.
We'll
It's
call you.
mostly so he can talk and hear himself talk.
We'll call you back for a What's in the Box episode. You'll really hate me then.
Oh, the Lost in the Box episodes are.
You do have to come back for that. It's pretty irritating.
Is this like in Lord of the Rings where Gollum has to guess what's in Bilbo's pocket?
No,
Pretty
it's,
much.
Okay.
yeah.
it's more. Yeah. Okay. Guess what? Adam?
Guess what Adam's thinking?
Okay.
Basically, you get the right answer and then just throw it away because
Because the question's worded so poorly that you were never going to get it in the first place. That's how this works.
So, I looked up some tabletop game terminology. To try to
Oh, this
stuff
ought
you
to be
guys.
interesting.
Oh.
I
yeah.
apologize if this is really generic stuff or like just obscure crap. But so here we go. Crib sheet. What is a crib sheet?
Like a character sheet?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
No.
Don't you have this?
It's right here.
Okay.
What do you think it is?
I don't think it's a character sheet. I don't know what it is, though.
A crib sheet or reference card is a concise set of notes used for quick reference.
Yeah.
It provides the player with
Okay.
short.
It's just the definition of crib. It's shorthand
Okay.
version of notes. Yeah.
All right. What does the abbreviation NFG mean?
no fucking good.
No, NG. Or shit, I said it backwards. NGF. I should star in that Scrabble movie about
NGF?
NGF. Yeah.
I no
No
idea.
good fucks.
Non-gaming friend.
Nobody
Are
says
you
that.
doing
I don't have
online
any.
gaming abbreviations?
No, it says tabletop games.
I've heard that, but I
What
don't have any, so I
Wikipedia
never
are you
say
using
it.
now?
I didn't reference it this time. Okay, next one.
You didn't cite your sources?
Not this one.
F.
The Supernatural Wiki.
Yeah.
Turtling.
Totally
Oh,
when you
tur-
start to
tur-
set up defensively and not make a move towards your opponent.
Yeah, it's a
basically.
defensive
Pillow
play.
fort.
Pillow fort
Pillow
also.
fort,
Yes.
Like
I'm a
cherry
fan
picking,
of that
maybe?
one.
Huh?
Cherry picking a little bit?
No.
Okay.
Cherry picking is totally different.
Okay.
Turtling is actually very.
It's a very defensive.
Yeah, you
maneuver.
basically just set up an entire defense as your only strategy.
So people don't like it when they do that.
Well,
It can be
usually-
frustrating to play against because you like most games are offense based. So when you play defense based, like you usually trump the offense in a lot of ways. And the
If
offense-
anyone's a world soccer fan with the World Cup coming up this summer, this is how the Italians play. They play what they call park the bus or turtle up. They play all 11 players on defense and then use short counterattacks to try and score. So they're a very frustrating team to play against
Yep.
because they play defensively the whole time.
All right. Last one. Rules lawyer. Oh, I got a good
You got
one.
magic players
I got a
here,
good
yeah.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
rules lawyer.
that's someone who looks for every corner case in the rules to bend the rules and use them towards their advantage.
But it also could be used in a positive sense.
Never.
No.
It's never.
That's what it
positive.
says here.
They're
Never.
wrong.
A rules lawyer.
That's written by a rules lawyer.
Yeah, there are people who know the rules, and those are positive people. Rules lawyers are always bad.
That is always a pejorative in gaming.
Unless your profession is a lawyer and you know the rules, and then you're okay. Sorry, Brett.
A rules lawyer is, like they said, always
A scummy human being.
Yeah.
getting to the very point where they'll debate anything if it gives them the slight advantage in a situation.
Yeah, they're also the gaming version of the well actually guy.
Okay.
Like and especially if you're the
like
storyteller in D&D, like, okay, do this thing. Well, actually, the rule is you do this. I don't give a shit. I told you to do this.
Now you're talking about stereotypes. You did the stereotypical nerd thing right there.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a
but
rules
you
lawyer
did push
thing.
up your glasses.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay,
use
I
the
don't see
middle
whether
finger,
it's a
though.
stereotype. I have to do that because my glasses keep coming
Yeah,
down.
I have such greasy face that my glasses like slide off me. Just greasy.
It's all that
face.
hipster face wash.
I don't
the
use
hair
face
gel.
wash.
It's all your
Hair gel.
fucking patchouli oil.
Truly was son of a. We have a guest.
Why is your hair shiny?
We have a guest.
Why is your hair shiny?
I'm a greasy person. I apologize for.
This is fantastic.
By the way, his hair spiked. You didn't say nothing about our guest's
It's
hair.
not
It's not
shiny.
shiny. There's
You're,
a difference.
I'm getting. I have
Mine's
to
coiffed.
move my hand because the light.
I took a shower before I
And
came.
he's
Was
a
I not supposed
welder.
to do that?
Yeah,
Not
No
you.
one else did.
like yeah, bright
I
light
was
and
moving
showers don't
concrete
affect
all
me now.
afternoon. I had to.
2 showers a day. Okay, on to the news. After that hurtful comment.
Okay, so he's hurt by that and not the 15 other hipster comments throughout the night.
No,
that-
I'll tell you the two things that hurt me the most. The hair comment, you don't mess with the hair. The other comment that hurt me,
You don't even have good hair.
I know I don't. and then the second comment is the I hate Japanese people comment. That was taken
no.
way out of context.
Not just the Japanese.
All the
All
Asians.
the Asians.
That was taken way out of context.
Not really. I'm pretty sure we can go back in a podcast and actually get like, screw the Asians.
If you knew how to edit, we could just edit your line in right here.
Yeah, kill all the Asians.
No,
Yeah.
here's what my line was. Yeah, they better not kill that dog. I'd rather them kill all the Asians.
That's
You're
exactly,
a fucking racist.
That's exactly
Period.
how that went.
Have you seen the
I got
Meg?
cousins who are Korean, so you're on dangerous ground.
No, have you seen the Meg trailer for the Megalodon shark movie with
Wait.
Jason Statham?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, there's a scene, a wedding party, who happens to be of all Asian heritage. Okay,
Okay.
I don't know if they're Asian American. They're all Asian heritage. Okay, they have a little Yorkshire Terrier. Okay, they're on a boat. After the wedding, they all jump into the ocean, and then the Yorkshire Terrier jumps in with them and starts swimming off from the group. You see the Megalodon breach the water, and I hate when something happens to dogs. So I said, I hope nothing happens to that dog. Kill all the Asians, meaning that group of people, because they're all Asian.
Well, he's never coming back.
It wa-
You know,
What
every
happened
time
to
you
the-
try
you
defend yourself,
sacrificed
it
the
gets
few
funnier
for
and
the
worse
many.
for you.
You know, if they lived, they were going to eat the dog anyway, right?
Now, how is that okay? How is that okay?
It's okay because he has Korean relatives.
He knows a guy. It's fine.
Yeah.
My mom is 1/4 Asian.
Okay, so you're counting quarters and percent.
But Tyler's not?
No, we're adopted.
You're both adopted? Okay. All right.
Okay.
It was the reverse, where an Asian person adopts a white baby.
Oh, okay. We're all going to hell.
Back on topic.
Trivia.
You three are.
You guys are like adoption hipsters.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
I would say it's from birth, but oops. Anyway.
Okay, moving on to the news. We're gonna do.
Just bypassing all the racist shit we just said.
We're doing.
You guys, I didn't say shit.
We're doing an Avengers Infinity War review podcast, but for the news, Avengers Infinity War surpasses the $1 billion mark in 11 days.
Boom.
It's now the #1 movie. It broke the old record of Star Wars Force Awakens that did it in 12 days.
It's a good movie.
It is.
A good movie. One of the few movies that has the distinction of me seeing it twice in theaters.
Well, we'll talk about that on.
We will. Yes, I'm
All
just
right.
saying.
The other bit of news that proves I'm not a hipster.
Lies.
The Masters of the there's been leaked plot points of the Masters of the Universe movie.
Ooh.
Okay, so they've changed it. In the last Masters of the Universe movie, they went to Earth. This one, Keldor and Adam were brothers. King Randor had 2 sons. King Randor is an ancestor of the Grayskulls. And supposedly in the script, the leaked script by Goyer, there's no mention of He-Man. It's just Adam getting a ragtag group of teamed together. Yeah, no, that's what I thought.
I don't know. I'm kind of into it.
I want to see the CGI for Man with Many Faces or Sergeant at Arms or whatever the name was where he spun around the base.
Many Faces, you're right.
Many
Yeah.
Faces, yeah.
I want to see.
I'm into
Green
that. I want to see
Battle
Battle
Have you
Cat,
seen
yeah.
the concept art for it?
No.
There's concept art for where it's like he doesn't have the
Is
helmet.
He-Man kind of like a jacked guy with like a lot of muscles?
No, there was no concept art for He-Man.
Oh.
I don't think, was there?
No, Manny Faces was
I mean,
like
you need
was just like a
was my
random
point.
face.
He's a big dude.
I was trying so hard not to just
Man.
die. And I wanted to help him sell it a little bit.
Yeah, moving on. Okay. Backlash is tonight.
Yeah.
Any predictions? We have Bailey versus Ruby Riott.
Ruby Riott wins.
Okay.
Yeah.
AJ Styles versus Nakamura.
AJ wins.
We talking about we're going to see a nut shot?
Oh, easy.
No, not in this one.
Oh yeah.
No, it's
every
no-
time they've been
Oh,
together.
it's no DQ.
Yeah, it's no DQ
yeah.
match.
Yeah.
Actually,
AJ's testicles have been boxed so many
Actually-
times in the last 2 weeks.
I'm calling Shinsuke for this one.
AJ.
Okay.
I want AJ to win, but I think Shinsuke might do it this time.
Seth freaking Rollins versus The Miz.
Seth.
Seth wins.
Okay. Hardy versus Orton.
Hardy wins.
Nia Jax versus The Bliss.
Nia will win. I want Bliss to win.
I
though.
want Bliss to win too. She's much better.
Carmella versus Flair.
Carmella wins.
Carmella.
Is she finally cashing in?
Yep, she cashed in 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe.
Joe wins.
I want Joe to win. They'll fucking let Roman do it.
Okay. Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass.
Daniel Bryan.
What's
Cass-
that match about?
Cass-
what are those two guys doing?
They started it out of nowhere because Cass came back and
Oh.
picked on the smallest guy he could find.
Okay.
Cass wins.
Okay.
That's my prediction for that one.
All right. Strowman, Lashley versus Owens and Zayn.
Strowman and Lashley. Like,
Oh,
No
is
hesitation.
that the one that took the kid as
yes,
his partner?
first
Yeah.
tag team
So
partner.
now he actually has a real partner now.
He has
It's just for this one time thing.
well, they've teamed like 3 or 4 times now in the last.
If they make them a
months.
tag team, I'm flipping my shit.
well, they looks like they're making them a tag team.
Because it's a waste.
Yeah, because Lashley came up to assist Roman, and then Strowman came up to assist Lashley.
And
It's a
who's
waste.
going to fall underneath the ring this time?
Nobody.
You don't think anyone's going to?
That was such.
Titus isn't on the
fantastic-
show. It's fine.
Okay.
So fantastic.
How much crap do you think those like the people backstage just like flip their shit?
The,
around?
Yes.
Vince McMahon lost his shit. That's why they replayed it so many times, because he was laughing his ass off and he wanted to keep watching it. That's why they kept doing a replay of it. And also, when Titus came back, McMahon is still laughing, shakes his hand and claps him on the back, and just is laughing the entire time.
If I was Titus and I finally got eliminated, I was like, I don't want to go into backstage. I was like, I would. Fear
I
more
imagine
than
he's
that.
still getting shit for that now.
Didn't they
not in a bad way, but like just giving him.
Didn't they already work it into an NXT match where there was a tag team match and they had Titus go to pretend like he's going to do interference and he jumped up on the apron and he like slipped and fell and everyone started laughing and that was used as a distraction.
Yeah, I don't think it was NXT, but it was that was a distraction.
Oh.
Yep.
All right. Anyone talk about news? Any more news?
No, I think we pretty much nailed all the important points.
All right.
Unless anybody's got anything special.
The hipster might.
Before I go to birthdays, the dude that played Toxic Avenger in Part 2 died.
Oh no!
Yeah, he passed
Do you know his
away.
name?
No.
Good research.
Yeah, thank
Proud
you.
of you.
Someone else died too.
A lot of people died.
No,
A lot of people die every single day.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that's getting dark, Cody.
I'm just saying.
No, so
We're all dying on the inside.
God, who the hell?
Let me alone in my room so I can listen to My Chemical Romance, Mom.
I don't like My Chemical- You like My Chemical Romance?
I listen to all forms of music. I don't know who it's by.
I like their cover of
Yes.
Bob Dylan's Dysentery Row. How do you pronounce that?
Desolation Road.
Yeah, good song.
Who's Bob Dylan?
I was like teenagers.
Did you just try to call it Dysentery Row?
Dysentery Row.
Okay, just
no, I was confusing Blink's song Dysentery Gary.
Dysentery Row, Marinara Trench, it's the Supernatural Wiki.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
Kill all Asians.
Kill all the
All
Asians. Okay.
Mark Millar.
Mark
Which-
Millar.
which
That was
is-
the first one.
Which is
That was-
bullshit, because I proved that that's right.
Ish.
Yeah, you're talking. Nobody listens. What else do we got? Is that it? That's the main ones. Eeyore.
if something
Eeyore
was-
intro.
Pacific.
With how he says.
Pacific Atlantic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we got Cody on tonight too. That's about
Tally
it.
ho.
Tally ho!
Tally ho!
No, you all started that. I didn't-
Yeah,
That's
because
because
of
you
your
were-
finger waving when you got to move on to the next thing.
I've been very.
His jazz hand.
I was keeping, since we had a guest, I was keeping my hands at bay.
I have been smacked a surprisingly few amount of times in this podcast.
I know, I was trying to.
You are leaning back a little bit.
Well, that's yeah.
I was trying.
Like when he talks on the podcast, it's always like the Will Smith or not Will Ferrell movie. The racing movie,
Nights.
Talladega Nights. When he's
what-
like,
what
I don't
do I
know
do
what to
with
do
my
with my hands. And he's always like doing like all over the place. He's just everywhere.
All right. Birthdays today.
He's just putting his hands on the table. Don't look at my hands.
I feel like he's sitting on him, just like.
right.
Birthdays today. Orson Welles.
Yep.
Yeah, Unicron.
Great. Yeah. Greatest movie. Transformers. Forget Citizen Kane.
Without a doubt.
Although the
Transformers.
third man was really good.
Not better than Transformers.
The best Batman, maybe George Clooney.
No.
Oh,
Not even
wow.
close. Get the hell out.
Nostalgia-wise, like as a kid, like Batman, but watching it now, like this is terrible.
Even then, it was terrible. I was not old enough to understand a lot of that, and I knew he was bad.
I know, but Schwarzenegger as
Freeze was also terrible.
I still insist that casting was great.
I enjoyed it.
It was interesting, but it wasn't.
a good
But
Bruce
that
Wayne.
was a
good.
kid. That was a kid watching that. I can see
I just
all the
prefer my
badness
bat
right now.
suits to be nipple-free zones. So
Yeah.
that's
You can
my
blame
real
Joel
problem there.
Schumacher for that one.
Yeah.
I also draw
crap,
the
those
line
one-
at the Bat credit card. It's a little much.
Yeah, Michael Keaton does not get the respect he deserves for his Bruce Wayne.
He was the best of both, I think. Let's go,
He was very good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think she played G.I. Jane. No.
That was Demi Moore.
That was Demi Moore.
No. I meant in the G.I. Joe movie, the one with the red hair. Anyways,
The Baron.
No, it's not Baroness. God, what was that character?
Scarlet is the character's name.
Yeah, Adrian Palicki's birthday today. She plays Scarlet.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh. That's what we asked you on here for.
It's a good,
None
it's a
of
good
that
thing you
board
do
game
the
stuff.
research. For
It is
this.
Adrian Palicki's birthday today.
Yes.
Good to know.
Greg Henry, Star-Lord's uncle. Star-Lord's uncle in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Alright. Bob Seger, birthday today. And stuntman, first stuntman from Sweden, actually, Lars Lundgren.
I think the first one ever.
Yep.
I figure Sweden would have a lot more stuntmen than before.
They didn't
right
have.
now.
They do now. This was back the original. He was in the original Total Recall. They didn't have a stunt industry.
Interesting. Okay.
So I like how you did more research on the one stuntman
I love.
than you did for any of the other birthdays.
And-
You're like, name. I think they did a thing. Who fucking knows?
You know
Next.
I like. You know I want to be a stuntman. That's everything I got. So
All right. Great. Sean, you want to give us a pitch for Trihards?
It's what happens when you become an old man and you still like to play Magic, and you go from having plenty of money to play but no time, which is usually the case when you're in your formative years, to having... Did I do that backwards?
You might have.
Yeah.
You go from having plenty of time but no money to the money not being a problem, but how do you find the time when you have family, career, and so forth? So it's sort of the enjoyment of the game and community through the eyes of a generation that has now moved into a spot where we can no longer be as involved and grind and do things that we took for granted when we were younger.
Okay, and how do we find your podcast?
We just came to SoundCloud, and there's a reason for that, and I won't go into it here. We are still on MTGcast, and you can find us on Patreon too, patreon.com/Trihards, TRIHARDS. So
Perfect.
we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it.
A lot of fun.
Honestly,
Pay him.
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
Yeah, ripping on Adam was like the most fun you could have
No,
for an hour.
that's like ripping on one of our guys in the pre and post show.
Fair.
That's like a lot of you guys know Matt Hurley.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
Matt.
ripping on Hurley in the pre and post show.
so should I be flattered with that or no?
No.
No, not really.
Neither one of you would be happy to be compared to the other. Now knowing you a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Damage Control Podcasting is recorded at Underdark Comics and Games. Check us out on Facebook at Facebook/Underdark Comics, or check out our website at UnderdarkQuincy.com. Send us an email, give us a phone call, stop in and say hi.
I did not interrupt you.
You didn't. It's the first time in like 8 podcasts.
You should have seen Daniel's face, though. He's waiting for it.
I was.
It's like a dog that's been kicked one too many times. He's just got that like when he does it.
Pavlovian response.
Oh yeah.
All right, so you can find Damage Control Podcasting on all the social media sites, at Damn Control on the Twitter,
The Twitter.
The Twitter.
Facebook.com, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Damage Control Podcasting, all one word, and contact us at damagecontrolpodcasting@gmail.com.
Have we ever gotten any emails?
2, both bots.
Yeah.
And Adam's mom, I think.
No, she never know.
Oh, she doesn't know how to email.
No, she'll text me. All right.
All right.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Wait!